everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the One of Us podcast. Today, we are continuing our series, our counterculture series, which I'm so excited for. This is episode 4. So if you've missed the other 3, feel free to, after this episode, go back and watch those. We've talked about the Good Samaritan, the prodigal son, faith as a mustard seed, and today we're going to be talking about the parable of the talents, which is one of my favorite ones. I love this one. So if you're not familiar, you can find it in your Bibles in Matthew 25, 14 through 30. But Juan is going to give us a quick synopsis as we get into it.
It's just a synopsis. So, always, everyone, I defer to the Bible if you want a deeper understanding and meaning. But we just want to talk about the kind of moral ground that the parable is laying that Jesus spoke of. But basically, God is trying to reveal the spiritual truth through this parable or illustration that he's teaching. He kind of describes this teaching as a master going away on a long journey, and he has 3 servants. To one of the servants, he gives him 5 talents, which, you can replace it with, money worth. I think the story's also in Luke, but it's in the form of minas, which is more so of a monetary value. But anyways, one servant he gives, let's just say for the sake of paraphrasing, a ton of money. The second servant, he gives some money too. It's like a considerable amount. And then to the final servant, he gives him just a little bit of money. The master goes off to a long journey and he comes back, and the servant who had a ton of money is like, Master, I invested all your money and I made just as equal amount back. So a ton of money. And the master was like really pleased. He's like, oh, because you were faithful over a little, I'll make you faithful over a lot. And then it goes the second guy. He's like, hey, you gave me a considerable amount of money. I also invested it and I made a considerable amount of money equal as well back. And then he, the master says the same thing, like, wow, like you've been faithful over so little, I'll make you faithful over a lot. And then he goes to the last guy, which is the most interesting. So the last servant who got just a little bit money, 1 talent, 1 mina, instead of investing it or doing work with it, he decided to bury it in the ground to keep it safe, quote unquote. And then when the master came back, he just dug it up and returned the same talent back. And the master was infuriated because he was very idle and lazy and didn't return any profit. So we're kind of just going to talk about that today and talk about, I guess this kind of also overlaps with like work culture. So before we get started, I just want to engage. What do you guys think the culture says about work today?
I still believe that hustle culture is like super big. Like people going after kind of the money. Also kind of just the image of having money. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I do think people care a lot about like their careers, the paths. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're using their talents. Maybe not so much. But I know people could definitely be like money driven for that.
I see the hustle aspect in some people, right? The passive income, like people trying to generate all that stuff. But I've also seen on the other end where like people are just like, I ain't trying to work. They're at the job, they're trying to do the bare minimum. So I find it like very interesting that, in this parable, like you have 2 servants going above and beyond.
What I like about this parable too is that it's a reflection of the kingdom of heaven, right? So, the master coming and going away is Jesus, who came and is leaving and is coming back. And we're essentially like the servants. And for context, okay, so Google has variations in what it's saying for this, but a talent, some say is $400,000, like what it would be today, and some say 1,000. So I don't know what to believe. But it's a lot of money, essentially, depending on the context. But that money, I think the point of it is to just teach us about stewardship, responsibility, and preparedness as we wait for the Lord to return or call us home.
You know what it is? I think, Juan, like I do agree with you. I think there's people on both ends of the spectrum. But I think the vibe that people kind of want nowadays are, I want to make as much money as possible by doing as little work as possible.
It's that lazy grind.
Yeah, I think you did hit it on the head. I mean, I understand people, right? Who hasn't dreamed of having enough money to just be lazy about and travel the world and do like, I think everyone has had realistically a thought of that, right? Like winning the lottery, being financially stable to the end of time. But I think kind of to Crystal's point, the parable, I think, is talking about stewardship in the form of what God has given you, what are you using it with? And I think that's like the first cultural, I guess, mold that we have to break, is that sometimes we kind of forget that all our talents as in, our abilities and skills that we're just naturally gifted at, is truly a gift from God. Sometimes we kind of forget that God has blessed us so much in different ways. We have to break that mold first before we can ask ourselves, like, okay, with this gift, what do we do with it?
I have a really good question because I was scrolling on Instagram the other day and I saw a really interesting video of people talking about like how work was back then. I don't mean in Jesus' time, just like a long time ago versus now. And I didn't really think I knew what it would look like. And they were like, oh, we are so used to dad kind of going out and working all day, and then the wife would stay home and take care of the children. But they were actually saying that both parents would kind of work from home. So like if the dad would do something in his, talent, for example, he would do it at home, same with the mom, and then they would go because they would have like such a small community and just trade. So what do you guys kind of think about that aspect? Because our work culture is really different. Because work now, like you're stuck in a place for about 7-8 hours a day. But back then you were stuck at home doing stuff for 7 or 8 hours. Well, I don't know how many hours, but you were still kind of with your family.
We live in the US, so it's very individualistic. I know in more developing countries, it's still very communal. Like I remember when we were helping refugees from Afghanistan resettling in our home state, that a lot of them said that they just thought it was really weird that work was individualistic, because like I remember a mom was telling us that her craft was the same craft as everyone in the neighborhood, and they all kind of worked in the same business or in the same discipline, and that's what their part of town was known for. So I understand what you're saying. All I can really say is I'm for the little house on the prairie going back to work like that, because that's kind of like
Bring it
also a
back.
vibe.
Yeah, I think it's different. Honestly, it's totally a culture thing. I think in America, we do pride ourselves in work and working to the point of exhaustion, which is not good. Rather, I feel like in other countries, like I know in many places in Europe, like we have one friend, her name is Kimmy, and her daughter is a missionary out in Italy. And I know
Pizza.
said that. She said that one of the biggest culture shocks was that in the middle of the day, around like noon, everything closes for 2 hours. And during that 2 hours, everyone goes home to their families. They have lunch together and then they come back to work. And man, I would love to adopt that lifestyle.
Vic's like the siesta, the going back home and eating.
Amen. But I think if we're talking about us today, like I think a lot of people where we're from take a lot of pride in their work. And I think if we're talking about the parable, honestly, when I read that verse, I never immediately go to day-to-day work. I always think about my faith. Like I think about the gift of salvation. Like if this is what the Lord has given me, then I need to go and share it with others. And so whenever I read that story, I immediately think of, okay, I've given my life to Christ. He has given me the gift of salvation. What am I doing with that? Because there are some Christians who might be like, cool, I'm saved, I'm good. There might be some Christians that are like, I'm involved in the lifestyle, it's how I live. And there might be those Christians like the man who almost doubled his talents, who went all out. They're doing this, they're doing that. That's kind of how I think about it. So,
And I think another question to ask ourselves, and maybe we can discuss, is why do you think the man who was given the one talent, why did he go and like hide his talent? I mean, he gives an explanation, but like really, like what does that represent? And why would someone do that?
I think a lot of it is fear-based. Well, at least that's how I interpret it.
yeah, I was going to say the same.
And I think it's just like funny, because I think when you think of the first servant and the second servant, what people don't understand, because some people say like, oh, the first servant and the second servant, like they had so much resources, they had it made, like they had no difficulty. Like the other guy, like he has no capital. How is he supposed to raise as much capital? Well, I like that between the first and the second, like the master, who we're saying is God here, is pleased with both. He's not like pleased more with the one who brought more. He's saying that like, wow, both of you have been faithful over a little. But I think with the first one, I think that something that I think a lot is that maybe his reasoning was he put his trust in his faith in himself, not in what the gift that the master gave him. Because I think the servant who only got 1 talent was like, oh, I have 1 talent, don't know what I can do with it, don't know if it's even worth like striving for, so I'm just gonna bury it and do nothing with it. While the other 2 servants, I feel like, had more faith and trust in what the master had given them.
And that's exactly what I was thinking too. I think it's almost like a scarcity mindset, which I think people can have like nowadays too, with this idea of like, I'm scared to lose this, so I'm going to hide it away and bury it because I can control when it comes back out to fruition. And it is like a lack of like trusting the Lord, because although there was like risk in what the other 2 people were doing, or maybe it was a little uncomfortable, or maybe they had to go out and like invest it some way, or like start something or do something, they had to have action. This person of the 1 talent took an action, but their action was non-action, right? It was just like buried away. And so I just think that that's just fascinating, something that I can just speak to myself in my life, of just like, don't have that scarcity mindset of like living with open hands. If you're trying to hide something and hoard it and like just bury it for fear of losing it, then you're not living with open hands, and it's not worth having in the first place. And God is a God that like grows things. He's a God of more than we can ever ask, think, or imagine. And so I think it really is a lesson on trust.
And I do, like, to Victoria's point, I do think it has to do with spirituality as well. So like, obviously we're talking about things that are very tangible, but I think also it's kind of like what Vic is saying, is if you have, this faith that God instilled in you, and you kind of just keep it to yourself, like burying it, not really, being a witness. And ultimately that's just obeying God, right? Like, we know the commandments at the end of Matthew, all over the Bible. And if you kind of just keep it to yourself, I think you're just really burying your talent.
Because it says too, it says, everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance, but he who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And so I was really trying to sit with myself and question, like, has what? What is the has piece of that? And what I really think it is what you guys are saying is, has righteousness, has sanctification, accepts salvation, accepts that gift, has edification, life change, just like kind of accepts that gift and runs with it to do what we're called on this earth to do. Those are the people who he gives in abundance. And I think that abundance is really you going to the Lord at the end of your life when he asks for an account, and you're able to say, like, Lord, like, I followed you, I was obedient, like, I loved you with my whole heart, mind, and strength. And those who are given the gift and do nothing with it, or just kind of put it over there in the garage and are like, nah, I'm good, I'm just gonna do my own thing now. You're not really doing what the gift was meant for. The parable is intense, right? The gnashing of teeth and going there, because it's like you didn't do with the talent what it was given for. So it really is about like your spiritual state. And I think, like, what has God given you? Like, what has he given you? What is the gift? What is the talent that he has given you? What would you guys say in your own lives?
My big nose. I'm just kidding. My deviated septum. No, I'm just kidding. I think for me, I don't know, I just like to tell stories. So I felt like this ministry, this podcast, I'm trying to use what God has given me for his kingdom. Even if only like one person ever heard us every week, I feel like, that's like the middle servant, right? It's like, that's still one more person than it was yesterday. So that's what's like important about it. And I'm encouraged about all of you guys. Like, every time I hear about, Tati's day, Vic's day, or Crystal's day, like, I get so, I guess, encouraged in my own faith, because, we're all human and we all struggle. And to see like that you guys are still striving after Christ is like very empowering.
I was about to make a joke about about what you said, Juan, but I'll tell you guys later because I don't know.
I feel like
I was about to say it, but maybe that's my talent. Or maybe it is now. The Lord is filtering, like, hey, maybe that's a joke. We should just keep to ourselves. No, I'm joking. Here's my real talent. I would say probably patience with and like loving children. I can always say I always find my way back into that field, but honestly, it does kind of make an impact. Like, even, every morning I try and like pray over the children, like, Lord, give them peace and Lord, help me to love these children, especially the ones that are a little more difficult. But I would say that because, like, even this morning I was on the floor, like, actually making a craft for the classroom when one of my students came in, and immediately, her mom drops her off, and I tell her, I'm like, hey, come over here, like, you can come help me. And the first thing that she does is she comes and, like, gives me a hug and, sits with me, and we, like, do a project. But I would say probably patience with children and just, like, loving them. So when I go into work, it's not because I mean, I do have to, but not because I have to go there, but because I want to go there and I enjoy going there each morning.
You could also, like, just keep driving.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, I have to, but I don't really have to. And I just got that because one of our friends did that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say that's a reference to one of our friends who had to go to work one day, and he's like, you know what? I wasn't feeling it. I just kept driving past. We're like, that's not really how that works, buddy.
He no longer works there.
Shocker.
Wait, why does that kind of sound like a cool outro to a movie? It's like that guy learns that the job he's doing is soul sucking, and then he just like keeps driving.
No,
that must have been a really
Netflix. If you need a new show,
because he was there for a week.
But I wanted to make a distinction too with what you guys were saying. It's like we are all called to full-time ministry. All of us, period. Vic, as a teacher, you have to teach kids. That is your ministry. You know what I mean? In and out of the school, like you are a representative of Christ. Like that is your ministry where you're called to and placed right now by the Lord. And I think thinking that way has really helped me, because sometimes you can think, I gotta work because I gotta check off the box, I gotta get out, and then once I'm out, then my ministry starts, then I can go serve, then I can go do this. 100% do those things. Like you are to serve the body of Christ, you are to serve the church, you are to like lend a helping hand in that way, but that's not where it starts. It starts wherever you go for your whole day. Yeah, I just wanted to encourage people in that way. But I think what's like cool, just as we ask ourselves this, like, what has God given you, right? What are you doing with what God has given you? Like Juan said, not out of like obligation or legalism, but really like God has given all of us assignments here on this earth with the abilities, talents, and resources that he's given us. And then like asking ourselves too, like, are you ready for his return?
Do you guys feel like you have talents that you don't use?
Dude, every day.
Like what?
Well, Tati, to answer your question, I think of a really good friend back home from Reno. His name's Daniel. Shout out. But he would always kind of challenge us to use any available free time we have to just spread the gospel. And I just remember I was always encouraged by that, because I think that, every moment given to you by Christ is a talent, is like an opportunity to share the gospel. I think at every glance, we all fall short of God's glory, but I think there's always opportunity to, hit that mark.
Is there a talent that you guys did wish you had?
Probably singing, because I suck.
That's a skill you can learn. You just got to practice. I have to show you like Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran used to be so bad.
But I feel like not everyone can learn to sing. I think that's a misconception.
No, anyone can learn to sing. If you have the proper tone, that's a different thing.
Yeah, but certain people are given
Rusty Gray, yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine that Sunday service?
That's Juan's audition for the Lord, to be like, Lord, give me an abundance of this stuff.
You do realize though, like a lot of the music that you do listen to, I'm just gonna give you like a music industry 101 thing. Because I've been in the studio, so like I've seen a lot more things.
Don't ruin it for us, Tati.
What?
Everyone like, tell us everything is fake. It's all AI.
No, autotune is the bare minimum. That is something that they slightly put on the audio. There's actually this really dope software. It's called Melodyne, and it kind of tracks your vocals, and you can like adjust it. I'm not saying if you're that bad, like it could fix it, but it's really cool to see the behind the scenes. But there's a lot more that goes behind it than people realize. There's like this whole vocal production aspect of it. But I think anyone can learn how to sing. I think you can improve your vocal ability. Will that be enough to make you super famous? Probably not.
Here's my thing, Tati. I'll agree that everyone can always improve, but I will say there are people who are born out of that womb and have a voice that is angelic.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You might not have like
and some of us,
the proper tone.
There's people who are tone deaf. That's like, I don't know if there's any saving that.
If you're telling me that I can train and sound like Celine Dion or Whitney Houston, you're wrong.
I never said you could be that good. I said you can train and improve your vocal ability.
But that's the level I want to be.
Then try it out, sis.
And
Nick, I
that.
we're making that the intro.
Please
to
don't.
this video. It's like this is what you have to expect for later. We have to clip that one comment that someone made and put it on this video when he said, if you guys actually tried, you'd actually be good at singing. Because I guess like one of us sang during an episode. And he was like, if you guys weren't trying to do it as like a funny fun joke, you'd actually be good. And I'm like, I'll take it.
Start
I'll
a group.
receive that, but also won't believe it.
All right, guys, you heard it here first. We're holding tryouts for the One of Us Stop podcast worship band.
You know what? I'm down. Vic will harmonize.
All right, my peeps. It is our hot take time with Tati. Tati, you know what to do, girl. Take it away.
You know, toilet papers, and there's 2 ways to like put it on the.
I'm just
holder.
saying
It goes
out.
on the front.
It goes out. It goes out.
Yeah. It rolls
This way,
down.
not this way.
Not in the back. It needs to be in the
Tati,
front.
I don't
not
know
in
which way
back.
the wall is, but the way that it doesn't go hitting the wall. It's
Okay, what
over,
about you,
not
Chris?
under. Over, not under.
Yeah, anyone who does under needs like a psych evaluation.
I just feel like if it goes under, it most likely is rubbing. I guess it doesn't make sense. It looks better
There's nothing
over.
wrong about it going under, though.
There's a lot of things
Logistically.
wrong about it going under. Don't be that
It's-
person.
No, but like literally, it's not harming you in any way. It's just an aesthetic thing.
It emotionally harms me. Don't do it. If I'm in your bathroom and I see that your toilet paper is going under and not over, I will turn it around.
I just don't think it's natural. It's more natural for it to come
Turn
down
it around.
from above.
God turned
God
it
turned
around.
it around. But which way did he turn it around is the question.
Turn around.
Goes over,
Every
not
now
under.
and then I feel
All right, Tati, what's your next hot take?
All right. The next hot take is books are better than movies.
That's like not a hot take. I mean,
To me, that's a hot
Movies
take.
are
I like
way
movies.
better.
no.
Movies are
books
better.
Tati, you've never read a book.
I have read books, but I
The
don't
Bible?
like to read books.
When is
Which
the last time
books-
you read a book in the last 10 years? What book
That
was it?
wasn't the Bible, and
Not a
not a
textbook, not for school.
I actually read
Green
The
Eggs and
Friends of
Hams?
Sinners.
Not a non-fiction.
I
The
said
friend of-
green eggs and Tati's
something to
like
say,
the
Vic?
Lorax. That's hilarious.
There
Okay,
I am,
Tati,
Sam.
what?
3 eggs and
I
ham.
read The Friend of Sinners, and I
Tati
started
said-
reading.
No, hold on. Tati said
Tati,
that one book
friend of
that has.
Sinner.
Tati said that one book that has no words when she was a little kid that is just touching it and it's like fluffy. The sensory.
I do read. I just don't read books. I try. Like, I actually have a bunch of books that I am trying to read.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you don't get to have an opinion on this because
Yeah, you
haven't
just
read
told us
books.
that you don't read books.
I don't read often.
Tati, you have not
The
read a
types of
full
stuff-
story in a book.
I haven't read fiction books in a long time, but
I don't like
do
them
read-
here or there or anywhere. I don't like green eggs and ham. Sam, I am.
Oh my gosh. How do you even know all that?
That's
probably
like
Googled
been
it up.
ingrained in his head. If someone read that
That's
to
what
him,
he reads every night before bed.
you just see like a pack of Dr. Seuss books next to his nightstand. He has a bookmark in the middle of the ABC one.
He's like, I gotta remind myself every day.
I don't
would
like
say
them in my
book-
house. I don't like them by the mouse. I don't like them on my blouse. That's actually from the book.
I was gonna
I
say, that
know
sounds
it
like
is. That's
Cap,
so good,
kinda.
Juan.
I definitely read it offline.
No, you cheater. I was gonna say when I've read a book and then watched the movie, I liked the book better. But sometimes movie will go into more depth. It's more cinematic. It's more beautiful. So it's like a lot more enjoyable. For example, I'll give an example of this. Actually, I'm not sure. I really liked what's that book that made into a movie about a girl on an island and like, or not an island. She's off the coast of like New Orleans. Famous book. Juan, you
The
and I
Bridge
watched
to
it.
Terabithia.
No. Oh my gosh.
Wait, is it the one? Is it the one where
Yes.
like she is like?
She
Okay,
collects
hear me out.
things.
Oh,
No,
where
I
the
don't know.
crawdads sing?
Yes, yes.
First
Yeah,
of all,
it's
that's
where
North
Crawdad's
Carolina.
I will say I was trying to read
Yeah,
that
it is.
book, but the book was really slow at first,
Okay.
and I didn't finish reading it, but the movie was pretty good.
That's what
The
I was
movie was
saying.
way
That's
better.
one exception where I read the book and I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed the movie a lot more.
Or like the Divergent series.
thought
If
you
you
were
read
talking
those
about-
books, the books are way better than the movies. The movies were
I thought you guys were
trash.
talking about when you were talking about the girl. Have you guys seen that movie where like this girl, she's like on a boat with her husband and like she gets hit, like they get like
Life of Pi.
no, like their boat gets hit by a storm and she thinks she's with her husband the whole time, but
Oh,
turns out
with
she's
the-
just crazy.
Overboard.
No, it's with the girl from Divergent. And turns out she
What?
was making it up the whole time. Her husband had passed away at the beginning of the trip.
Of the trip,
And
yeah,
she
he
just,
like died.
in
Sorry
her
for
head,
anyone
he
who
was
was
there the
like
whole
interested.
Oh, what
Major
movie is this?
Spoiler alert, sorry, but that came out
Vic,
like
what's
10
the point
years
of even
ago.
watching it? Because the whole movie is like she's like basically it's a true story. It's like this lady said that the only reason she was alive is because her mind wouldn't let go of her husband. Like she just like
It was her survival like tactic.
yeah. So like she
Sounds
was like
like a good
eating
movie.
peanut butter, but like she was actually talking to herself.
It's peanut butter.
It's called
peanut
Adrift.
butter.
It came out in 2018. So you guys
It's
have had
pretty good,
plenty
but
of
I
time
spoiled the
to
biggest
watch
plot twist, so it doesn't matter anymore.
it.
I have one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Hummus is disgusting.
That's cap.
I
Hummus
literally
is
It
just
amazing.
depends
ate
what
hummus.
hummus. It depends what hummus.
hate hummus.
Plain hummus is nasty. Garlic hummus, 10 out of 10.
Or the
Vic, get that out of here.
not
That- just
sponsored
looking at it
Sabra.
makes me
Wait,
wanna
is that
throw
the
up.
garlic hummus? Sounds pretty good.
I actually love the garlic hummus, but this is the plain original.
It's because she gets the large.
Plain like
Do you
your
think
skin
that
tone?
I would like the garlic hummus better than regular hummus?
Is it plain like your forehead?
Fine.
Get it because the
Yes,
plane lands on your forehead?
Fine. Sometimes I don't.
That
the stuff
was really good, you
comes
have to
out
admit.
of- It was. That's. I'm about to give you a compliment. I'm just building up to it. We have reached the end of our episode. You know why? Because of Juan.
The plane is landing. The plane's landing.
Fun. Yeah. Okay. Tati, I don't even remember what your last hot take was because I got
Hummus.
so. Oh yeah, I got so distracted by Juan. But yeah, we'll end it there. Hummus is great. No.
Well, hope
no,
this episode was encouraging to you
no
guys.
doubt about it.
Let us know if you need if you have any other parables, topics
Crystal, are you
that
taking
can
my?
be included in this counterculture series.
Are you taking my outro?
No, go ahead, Vic.
Are you taking my time to shine? You and Juan, you guys are married. To all the people listening, we have reached the end of our episode. So, if you liked it, please subscribe. If there's anything we left out, anything you want to add, put it in the comments below and let us know. But anyway,
Are you also turning into Dr. Seuss?
hey, you know what?
Green
The
eggs and ham.
bars-
Yes, I am.
The bars, you never know. You never know. Anyway, it's been a wonderful and amazing time. We love you guys. We're praying for you. We pray that you have a safe and wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.